Look at this godly of God rolls. For those new to Destiny 2, this is the Adept Palindrome, and it can only be acquired by completing a Grandmaster Nightfall. Now, this gun has many options. For starters, this weapon has 20,475 different rolls, and each Nightfall run will probably take you about 15 minutes at minimum to complete. Oh, and let's not forget that each Nightfall has a variety of weapons, meaning whatever week it is, you have a chance to get Adept Palindrome or Adept Plug 1 or any other variation of these weapons. Now, if you're like me, you enjoy your time, and I can't sink in hours and hours and hours of doing Grandmaster Nightfalls. Let's not forget that you have to be at a certain light level, and you have to get teammates to go with you. You need to have a team of 3 and be coordinated, because if you die at any time during a Grandmaster Nightfall, that's it, it's orbit time. But what if I told you that there was another gun in this game that's stronger and drops frequently? Well, in today's video, we're going to be talking about that gun and what the best perk combo is for it. But before we do, if you're new to the channel, hi, I'm BRAVExHERO, and I cover everything PvP related in Destiny 2. So if you enjoyed today's video, feel free to hit that subscribe button for more Destiny 2 content, and don't forget to turn on all notifications. But with that out of the way, let's get into the video. The weapon for today's video is going to be the Cantata-57, which is an energy 140 RPM hand cannon, which can drop from decrypted engrams or by completing activities in Destiny 2. Now, what makes this gun better than Palindrome? Well, the God Rolled Palindrome can slot Adept mods, and if you get a max range version with a range masterwork and slot an Adept Icarus mod, well, you're looking at a range stat of 87, which gives it a max damage drop off of about 36 meters. Pretty cracked, I know. But today, we're going to be talking about two different rolls for the Cantata-57, one that rivals the max range Palindrome, and one that actually might be better than Palindrome when it comes to winning 1v1 gunfights. The first roll I want to talk about is one that rivals the Palindrome in max range. If you want a max range Palindrome, you're going to be looking at these perks: Full Bore, paired alongside Ricochet rounds, Killing Wind, and Rangefinder, paired alongside a Range Masterwork and Adept Icarus grip. This gives you a total of about 36 meters in range before you start noticing damage drop off. Now, for the Cantata-57, you're gonna be looking at these perks right here: Full Bore, Accurized rounds, Eye of the Storm, Rangefinder, a Range Masterwork. And yes guys, this gives you a 36 meter range before you start seeing damage drop off. Look guys, if you're someone looking to get your hands on a maxed range energy hand cannon and you don't feel like getting a team together, you don't feel like getting your light level super high, you don't feel like running a gazillion Grandmaster Nightfalls, well, you can always settle for this great alternative here. Okay, you might be confused. You might be wondering, how does the Cantata-57 rival up against the Palindrome? This is an Adept Grandmaster weapon. What perk is it? Well, that perk is gonna be Accurized rounds. Accurized rounds is the only saving grace for the Cantata-57. Since the Palindrome can either roll with Ricochet rounds, high caliber rounds, light mag, or even armor piercing rounds, all of which only boost the Palindrome's range by less than 1 meter. But since the Cantata-57 can roll with Accurized rounds, this gives it a whole meter of range. It brings its max range from 28.73 meters to 29.92 meters. But okay. If you're anything like me, then range on a hand cannon isn't the end all be all. But what if I told you that there's a roll on a Cantata that really helps you win more 1v1s? Well, let's talk about that roll. For those new to the channel, I'm a huge advocate of the perks Explosive Payload and Time Payload. Well, when utilizing Explosive Payload or Time Payload weapons and you deal damage, you'll see two damage numbers pop up. You'll see the initial damage, which you can see here, and then you'll see the Explosive Payload or Time Payload damage, as you can see here. For those unaware, all Destiny guns have damage drop off at some point, but with the perks Explosive Payload and Time Payload, you will always have that damage be consistent. Your main damage will experience damage drop off, but regardless of how far away you are from your target, your Explosive Payload and Time Payload damage will always be the same. As you can tell, even if I'm across the map my time payload damage will always be 26. So the roll that I'm suggesting for the Cantata-57, which is my personal favorite by the way, is going to be full bore, accurized rounds, Eye of the Storm, and time payload. And yes guys, you don't have to go with Eye of the Storm, but I like that perk a lot. Now this has a total range of 32.96 meters. I know, you're probably wondering,
Brave, why is this better than Adept Palindrome? It already has 4 meters less, so it's outranged.
what if I told you that time payload not only has that consistent 26 damage, but you will be dealing additional flinch to your enemy? But why is that? Well, with time payload, you're having 2 impacts, thus causing flinch at 2 different instances. So why is this beneficial? Well, what if I told you that explosive payload and time payload are great for going up against pulse rifles? Are you tired of dying from the peace of mind? Flinch them. You hate the messenger? Use payload weapons to make them miss. Better yet, do you hate challenging snipers or the Lorentz driver? Time payload and explosive payload weapons are one of the best tools you can use when going head to head with these headshot magnets. Guys, the last time we had a Suros hand cannon with a payload perk was the annual skate, but that was a really difficult gun to obtain. But with the revamp to the world loot pool, this has made the Cantata-57 a gun that drops frequently from endgame activities and engram decryption. Overall, I've used all the weapons on the list, from the God Rolled Palindrome to the God Rolled Cantata, but I keep finding myself going back to the time payload Cantata. You might not be able to notice the additional flinch it gives to your enemies, but I promise you, you're pissing off your opponents in PvP. I can guarantee you that after you beat them in a 1v1 gunfight, they'll be inspecting your hand cannon to see why they couldn't land their shots against you. To close off this portion, personally, if you don't have a God Rolled Palindrome, don't worry about it, it's fine. You can easily get a God Rolled Cantata-57 to drop for you, and you'll have a weapon that'll put you on the same playing field as an Adept Palindrome. But even if you do have a God Rolled Adept Palindrome, keep your eyes peeled for a time payload Cantata-57. You just might end up swapping over for good. But with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, dropping a like on the video is greatly appreciated. And remember, if you're new to the channel, feel free to click that subscribe button and don't forget to turn on all notifications. On that note, are you looking for one of the best exotic builds for Void 3.0 Titans? Well, that video that just popped up on screen is one of the best healing builds for Titans in Void 3.0. Lastly, if you plan on playing Trials of Osiris this weekend and you've been struggling, that video on screen is my entire Trials of Osiris playlist. It is a guide on how to go flawless. I highly recommend you give it a watch. It'll help you get there. I appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out. You have a good one, and I will see you in the next video.